continue with the Christmas story today. Can you remember last week we heard about what happened on a very, very special starlit night? Last week we learned how Jesus, God's Son, was born in a stable to Mary and Joseph, his earthly parents. But that's not all that happened. Do you want to hear what happened next? It involves these people, shepherds, out on the hillside outside Bethlehem, and in particular, this little shepherd boy. David was a shepherd boy before he became king. And this little shepherd boy was just like that. He loved being with the sheep and the shepherds. His name was Jake. And he'd always wanted to be a shepherd boy. He loved being out on the hillside. But you know, there was something he didn't like about it. The older shepherds, they loved to sing round the campfire at night. One, it used to keep the wild animals away. And two, they rather liked singing. Perhaps they sang some of the songs that David wrote when he was a shepherd boy. But you know, every time they sang, Jake would make an excuse. Oh, if you're going to sing, I'll just pop onto the hills and just check on the sheep, just to make sure that they're all right. And it wasn't because he didn't want to sing. He would have loved to have joined in. But he was afraid. Afraid he'd sing the wrong notes or the wrong words and make a mess of the song and spoil it. But one very starry night, that special night, something special happened out on the hillside. A bright light. Oh, the shepherds got such a shock. Where did that bright light come from? It's the middle of the night. Then they got a bigger shock because an angel appeared. They were absolutely terrified. Don't be afraid, said the angel. I brought you a message from God. It's a happy message. Tonight, in Bethlehem, God's Son has been born. Oh, the shepherds gasped. God's Son? Yes, said the angel. If you hurry down to Bethlehem, you can find him. Look, in a stable. Well, they could hardly believe it. And just then, hundreds and thousands of angels joined in a beautiful song. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to all people. It was so beautiful and so wonderful that Jake couldn't help himself. He joined in with the angels and sang and sang and sang. And when the angels had gone, he kept singing. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to all people. And the shepherd said, is that our Jake singing? Yes. Well, if God can do that, then perhaps what the angel has said is true. Perhaps we should go to Bethlehem. And so they hurried. In fact, they ran down the hill to Bethlehem. And they looked down one street, up another street, on and on, until at last they found what they were looking for. They found Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus in a stable. Can we come in, they said. God sent a message with one of his angels that God's Son had been born. Can we come and see him? Of course, said Mary and Joseph. Come on in. And there they saw him, lying asleep in the manger. Then Jake went up to Mary and said very timidly, "Would it be all right if I sang for him?" "Of course," said Mary. And so Jake sang a beautiful, sweet song as the baby slept. And when the shepherds left that stable, they were so full of joy that they sang all the way back to the hillside and the sheep. They knew their sheep would be all right because God would be with them. And after that night, they continued to sing by the fire, but this time Jake joined in and he loved it, and they sang songs of praise to God. But they especially thought about that special starry night and what had happened. And they sang about that too. And they told everybody they met. And that reminds me of us sometimes. Perhaps we think that we are small and insignificant. Perhaps we think we can't do very much. But like Jake, when he met with God, he could sing. He could do amazing things he never thought he could ever do. And that's just the same for us. If we feel like that, if when we meet God, he can help us to do all the things that he wants us to. He gives us the power and the courage and the strength. So let's be like Jake and just trust in God. And if you want to find out what happens next on that special starry night, join us next week.